I'm beyond all the function.
Welcome to Big Shotz! You know, it's actually pretty good energy, despite like it seems like it's a depleted crowd, but that's ironic because mostly they're just like, I have to juice them up myself. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause for that. As well as your host, who if you don't know is a veteran. Today's Memorial Day. Anybody celebrating from out of town? I guess not. Anybody's first time here? All right, well, welcome. My name's Alden. All right, and give it up for your host. Give it up for everybody you're gonna see tonight. And for yourselves for coming out and supporting.
Play some John Mayer.
All right, so there's this guy I used to work with. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. And this is where my comedy kind of started. I would used to say things like, oh, I love this, or I love that, you know, I love pizza. And he would always say, well, then why don't you marry it? So one time he said, I love cold weather. I said, why don't you marry it then? He said, you're right. And here's how it would look. A meteorologist would come up and say, here's Mike from the west coming over. Here's the cold east coming over, and they're meeting for holy matrimony in the middle. You know, some people say, they weren't dealt the best cards. And I get what they're saying. It's like, well, they weren't born with a lot of luck on their side. But it's kind of cruel because in a card game, you can actually trade your cards in for something potentially better. Nobody's like, my metabolism sucks, but you know what? I'll trade it in for a 1975 Arnold Schwarzenegger. Anybody like Spider-Man in the crowd? Do you ever wonder if Mary Jane looked at Spider-Man and said, hey, just shoot me with that sticky white stuff? I love the fact that they have a character in Spider-Man named Mary Jane. We got any weed smokers in the crowd? Woo! Right? Same here as of about 4.5 years ago. That's when I moved to California. And I'm glad I did because I found out what a roach really was. And I'm glad I did because the bugs move around too much when you try to light them.
Wrong roaches.
I saw the other day, I saw some blunts. They were flavored blunts, you know, raspberry, blueberry, strawberry. I'm glad they're putting antioxidants in them. And I'm glad they're flavored too because I grew up in a white household. All our blunts were plain. Talked to an old man he's one of these old thinkers. Thought to himself that weed is a drug. And weed is the devil's lettuce. And he even told me that. And I looked at him and I said, you're ignorant. He looked at me and said, I don't even know what that means. All right, that's enough with the weed jokes. I'm trying to get in better shape. I actually had a salad before coming up on stage. Mostly OG Kush. You see what I did there? You didn't think it was a weed joke, then I was like, wow!
Pump up fast, man. Pump up fast.
You know, I met this woman who came to me and said, she's a squirter. I said, prove it. So she did. And it's weird because at the end of the day, I thought about it and I was like, hashtag perspective. I didn't expect to meet her that day, but I saw her coming. She liked to eat grapefruit a lot. That's how I found out she's actually a porn star. She'd eat grapefruit to keep in shape. And some of it flung up into her eye one day when she took a bite out of it. She didn't even flinch. And I thought, oh, it's a porn star. That makes sense.
Without the glass.
I actually hooked up with her later. I gave her money and I said, come on, just show me a good time. Show me a time I will never forget. So the next day I woke up without a liver. I never forgot it. I love the idea of a zombie apocalypse. Because more women will want me for my brains. You know, they say Jesus was a virgin when he died. I beg to differ, though. He came twice. Whoa, wait. Too soon? Too soon?
Oh, yeah. 2,000 plus years too soon.
You know, they would suggest that God doesn't like gay people, but I totally disagree, because at some point in his 7 days of making the whole universe, he had to have stopped and said, this place could use some more color. You know, they said Jesus turned water into wine, but he never checked for IDs. I wonder if he did, though. Maybe he did and they just didn't write it. Like he said, oh, okay, you're good. You're good.
What was the age?
You're good. Oh, but you get grape juice. You know, I had a great idea to create a time machine and go back in time to before electricity ever existed. So I get a great idea, somebody lights a candle above my head. But I actually have a time machine at the house. I told a bunch of people about it and brought them, and they were real excited, real anxious. And they say the same kind of stupid thing when they see it of, oh, it's just a watch. But I call it a time machine because it sounds cooler that way. Like these are clean clothes, but I didn't clean them in a washer. It was a washing machine. And I'm not a dancer. I'm a dancing machine. My last relationship ended because of a vibrating machine. It's not what you think, though. It's more unique. I just want to see how much more hurt your wild wicked shake. All right, that's my time, and thanks for coming out. You go.
Look in my eye, you got a rider, bag with a lot of stuff in